I was pregnant with Imogen, had a normal pregnancy, and then went in to be induced the day before her actual due date. I was in labor for over 18 hours, and so the doctor decided, since I wasn't progressing, that it was time to have a C-section. So, because I had a fever, high blood pressure, and then Imogen was also starting to go into distress. So we had emergency C-section. We didn't know anything was wrong until the next day, whenever we went down to see her, because I hadn't got to hold her yet. So we went down for me to be able to hold her for the first time, and then she started having seizures. So still didn't get to hold her, and then they decided to transfer to Cardinal Glennon. There's whenever we found out that she had her strokes, and then we got to finally hold her for the first time. And we were there for a week. The nurses and doctors set us up with early intervention.
It was definitely very stressful, not knowing what was wrong, at least for the first 24 hours or so. And then once we found out that she had a stroke, the doctors there were very helpful as far as giving us as much information as we needed.
So we actually started all of her therapies when she was a month old. She had trouble rolling over. We were really concerned, but they're like, she's gonna come in time. That was one of the big things that PT helped us do, as well as developmental therapy, because they kind of encompass everything.
Well, this one will just be the number 6.
Also, she was a little behind with crawling, and so they helped us come up with some great plans and exercises to do
You do hopscotch?
to kind of help strengthen her left side so that she could crawl. Those were just some things that we just constantly worked on, and then just one day she just was crawling, and she would keep her left hand closed, but she was still crawling just like all the other babies, because our friends all have kids and all at the same time. So just getting to see her do the exact same things as the other children, it was awesome.
Try to count while you're hopping.
Some of her milestones she was delayed on, but they just kept encouraging us that just because she was delayed doesn't mean that she's never going to meet those milestones. And so they were just constantly encouraging us to not look at other children and to compare. So that Imogen is going to meet her milestones when she's going to meet them, whether it's 6 months later than she was supposed to, or a few weeks later than she was supposed to meet that milestone. They really listened to our concerns, and if we had any questions, after leaving the doctor's office, they would help us get the information that we actually needed.
Almost all of it was in home.
Yeah, not until she was out of the program did we have to go anywhere else. So that was really nice, not having to pack up her and take her having the therapist come to our home. And
yeah, it's definitely very convenient. It made it very easy.
Says the fish to his friend, Mr. 8, my chum.
I think for me the most helpful was seeing her actually progress, and that she could actually meet milestones, because we were never sure. We didn't know if she was ever going to walk or talk or be able to sit up, any of those things. So having them include us in her actual care was really big. The therapists were very encouraging for us, and if we ever had any questions, we could call them. They're always there, as well as our coordinator. Our coordinator was very, very helpful through the entire 3 years that we were in the program. I had never heard of early intervention before Imogen. I honestly didn't know what to expect from EI. They definitely encouraged us to really advocate for Imogen, to make sure that we were on top of everything. They actually included us in the entire process. They listened to all of our concerns. If there's any therapies that we wanted to try, that they would, if they weren't familiar with it, they would actually look into it, and then the next visit they would actually help implement those. They really showed us how to help Imogen after they left our house. So like with physical therapy, they would show us different techniques to use to help her, especially when she started to stand up or to crawl, different exercises to do with her to help us continue her care even whenever they weren't here. So that was huge for us because, you know, she was our first child. We had no idea what to do, what to expect.
Each time at the end of the therapy session, they do some kind of a write-up or a summary, going over the different therapy or activity that they did that day, and the results of how well Imogen did, and then any kind of recommendations for us to do at home on our own to kind of work on it, so that the next time they come out, you know, they'll kind of go through some of those same things and see if she still does the same thing or if she's progressing any at all. But the way that they, you know, wrote it all up in a summary that was pretty concise, it's just a one-page sheet, so it was very easy to look at it and quickly get an idea of what she did that day.
It was kind of hard transitioning her because she was so used to her therapists, because she was with them from a month old until she turned 3. So it was a little different for her, you know, to kind of go from them coming to her house all the time, and now she has to go to them basically. But our service coordinator made it extremely easy for us to transition from EI to her preschool. Imogen's neurologist and her pediatrician and the therapists, you know, if they had questions for each other, they would actually call each other, you know, to get information, because sometimes as parents, you know, we miss things, and you know, we have a lot more going on than just, you know, just Imogen. So I was diligent in keeping a binder. I'd take a binder with me everywhere that had all of her information in it. And so any information we get from the doctor, I'd write down, and that's how I would relay to her therapist in the early intervention program, and also to her pediatrician. And so if they had questions, then they all had each other's phone numbers and stuff. And so they would contact each other to say, hey, do you really think that she needs this? Or do you really think that we should try something else? It has gotten a lot easier for us to talk about, you know, our daughter having a stroke and how amazing she has done, and then also, you know, why she has done so well. And one of the big things for us is because of early intervention. Thank you, early intervention.